In this video I'm going to show you how to crochet the Sultan stitch. Very pretty stitch, there's a nice drape to the fabric. It's quite loose but still feels like a solid stitch. It's not too lacy, but it still has that nice drape to it. It's a 4-row repeater pattern, but rows 2 and 3 are almost a repeat of rows 4 and 5. So it's really, as often happens, it's the starts and the ends of the rows that are slightly different in order to get the stitches to stagger, which will help those stitch patterns to actually stand out more. It's a very pretty stitch. So let's have a look at the tutorial. So for this tutorial I'm using an Aran or a worsted weight yarn. I'm going to use a 5.5mm crochet hook because I want it to be slightly drapier. Normally you would use a 5 with a worsted weight, but 5.5 is just fine as well. So use any size yarn or weight yarn that you like with the corresponding or a slightly bigger size crochet hook. I have scissors to cut off my end, a needle to sew in my end, and a stitch marker just in case I need one. So this pattern is worked in rows, so we're going to need a foundation chain to start. So make a slip knot in whichever way you prefer. And our foundation chain needs to be made in multiples of 4 plus an extra 1 at the end. So yarn over, pull through the loop on your hook, that's 1. Yarn over, pull through 2, 3 and 4. So pause the video now whilst you make your foundation chain. I'm going to make mine up to 21, so that's my multiple of 4 plus my extra 1. You make yours as wide as you would like your piece to be. So pause the video now. So I have my foundation chain of 21 stitches, and now we're going to make our first stitch, and this is going to be a V stitch, which is going to be a treble, chain 2, then another treble, all in the same stitch. In US terms that would be double chain 2 double, and we're going to make that in the 6th chain from the hook, so we don't count the one on the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yarn over, insert into the 6th chain, yarn over, pull through, got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, then chain 2, 1, 2, and then exactly the same chain, going to do the next treble, so yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and there you have your first V stitch. We're going to skip the next 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and in the 4th one we're going to do another V stitch. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, chain 2, 1, 2, and a treble in the same chain. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. And we're going to repeat this down the row. So skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and in the 4th one we do our V stitch, and we continue this way all the way down the row until we get to just before the end, and I will show you what to do at the end of the row. So pause the video now whilst you get to the end of the row, and I shall see you there. So I've got my row 1, just done my last V stitch, and I have 3 stitches left, 3 chains left. What we're going to do is to skip the first 2 chains, and in the last chain we're going to do a treble. Remember, that's US double. So in the very last chain we're going to do just 1 treble, not the V stitch, and that will help us keep our edges nice and straight. So the 3 chain at the beginning would count as a treble, and then there's a treble at the end of the row. So for row 2 then, and rows 2 to 5 are the repeating pattern, but they're all sort of very similar rows, so like sets of 2. So 2 and 3 are very similar to rows 4 and 5. So to start row 2 then, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. That counts as a treble. Turn your work, therefore if it counts we never work into that first stitch. And we're going to be working into the 2 chain space between the trebles. So into this 2 chain space here, and we're going in there with 4 trebles or 4 doubles in US. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. So that's 1. Make your second treble, make your third treble, and make your fourth treble. Going to skip over the stitches here, go to the next 2 chain space, and we're going to put 4 trebles into the next 2 chain space. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to continue that way all the way down the row. So we don't chain anything in between, we just work 4 trebles into each of the 2 chain spaces. And I shall show you what to do at the end of the row. So complete the rest of your row and I shall see you in a moment. So I've just come to the end of my row. Now I have my turning chain here, and we are going to make 1 treble into the 3rd chain of the turning chain. And again that gives us our nice neat edge. So for row 3 then we're going to chain 4 this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. That counts as 1 treble and a chain. We're going to turn our work, and we're going to work into the very first space here, and we're going in there with a treble into that chain space there. We're going to skip the next 4 trebles, and into the space in between we're going to do our V-stitch. So that's treble, chain 2, and treble. Then we're going to skip the next 4, working into that space in between those stitches, going in with our V-stitch again. So treble, chain 2, and treble, skip 4 into the space with the V-stitch, treble, chain 2, and treble. Then we're going to skip the 4 here, and we've got our turning chain here. Now into that space there we're going to do a slight variation on the V-stitch. So we're going to do a treble. This time we're only going to chain 1 and then do your second treble into the space. So we're not working into the stitches, just into the spaces. For row 4 then we chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we turn our work. And we're going to put 1 treble into that very first chain space there. So at the start of row 4 you've got your chain 3, we put 2 trebles into that space. I think in the example I showed you I only put 1 in, so I just wanted to rectify that. There should be 2 trebles, making that a set of 3, which would then marry up with the set of 3 at the end of the row. So we're going to skip this treble here, and the space here, and the treble here. So working into the 2 chain space, we're going in with 4 trebles. So we're staggering the shells that we've got there. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Again, we're going to skip these trebles here and work 4 trebles into the next 2 chain space. Skip the 2 trebles into the next space with 4 trebles, and we work that way down the line. So pause the video now whilst you finish off your row 4, and I shall see you in a moment. So at the end of row 4 then we've got our 3 chain space here, so we skip the 2 trebles, and into that last chain space there we're going to work 3 trebles. So that's 1 treble, 2 trebles and 3 trebles. If we did 4 trebles in there, our work would start going off to the side. So 3 is just enough to get us from here over there with a straight edge. So row 5 then, this is the last row of the repeating pattern. Going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn our work. That chain 3 counts, therefore we'd never work into that first stitch. So we're going to skip these first 3 trebles, so that's 1, 2, 3, and working into the space between the clusters of trebles. So working into there, we're going to work a V stitch. So treble, chain 2, and treble into the same space. Skip those 4 trebles and working into the next space with a V stitch. Chain 2 and the second treble into the same space. Skip these 4 trebles and the V stitch into the next space. We're going to work all the way down the row with V stitches into those spaces in between the 4 trebles. So pause the video now whilst you work your way down the row making your V stitches, and I shall see you in a moment. So we come to the end of row 5, and into that chain space we're going to do a treble, not into the stitch but into the space. And that's the entire pattern together. So as I said, they're very similar, the 2 sets of rows, they're just slightly staggered so you can see your stitches. So we're going to go back to row 2 now, so that's a chain 3. Remember, the chain 3 counts as a treble, and we turn our work, and then we're going to be working into the V stitch 2 chain with 4 trebles. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Skip these 2 trebles here, working into the next V stitch 2 chain space with 4 trebles. So I'm going to work up a few more rows now for you to see how it looks, and I shall see you in a moment. So I've just worked up a few more rows for you to see how it looks, and it's very nice. It's quite a drapey fabric, but yet it still feels quite solid. It's not too much of a yarn eater, but it does actually work up quite quickly because we're working with the trebles or US doubles. I think they look a little bit like cupcakes with there's the cake bit there and there's the icing on there. What do you think? It's a very pretty stitch. So let me know in the comments what you think you might make using this stitch. And also don't forget, if you have enjoyed this video, to give it a thumbs up. It really does help YouTube to show it to other crocheters. If you've enjoyed seeing my stitch marker today, this is my resin chrysanthemum, which is available in my shop and also on Etsy. If you prefer to shop in Etsy. There's lots of really lovely little stitch markers and other haberdashery items and crochet related stationery over in my shop, so please do check it out. as shopping over there will help to support this channel and help me to keep it going. So thank you for that. I shall pop 2 more videos on the side of the screen over here to help you on your crochet journey, and I shall see you over there. Thank you so much for joining me on this one, and happy hooking!